Welcome
Welcome.
back. Oh, did you try to scoop my welcome?
I was trying to steal your swag, bro.
Welcome back to the Hoops Temple podcast. My swag shall not be stolen. I'm Nathan Schwartz. Joining me from New Zealand, man who's getting a
I
bit
am
too
not
big for
Nathan
his
Schwartz.
britches.
I
No,
am not,
sir.
nor will I ever be Nathan Schwartz.
You are Dylan Williamson.
Mm. I'm the Pippin to your Michael Jordan.
I I think I'm the Alfred to Aaron's Batman, so I'm not entirely sure what that makes you in my Batman analogy, but we're back. We're here to finish up the preseason potting
Mm.
because in less than 24 hours of this getting posted, probably less than 12 hours of this getting posted, depends on if it finishes up tonight or tomorrow morning, there's going to be real basketball. The NBA will have tipped off. Aaron, is there a game that you have like circled on the marquee already that you just cannot wait for?
It conveniently. So like the with the time difference, all the NBA games are really like during the day for me, and so it's quite hard to catch them live. And then I also kind of avoid spoilers, and so I don't like rewatching games. And so the games that I really lock in on most are the ones that are on my days off. But I'm gonna get straight into the season starts like right as my week starts, and so I'll be like watching as much of the games as I can while technically being on the clock. I've got it down to a pretty fine art, but I'm gonna have to buy League Pass again, which is a pain. I don't know if I can.
Just share
I
my
don't know if I
emotion.
can. Do you think they'd realize?
They asked like I pay for the extra one so that way my dad can watch it, like where it's the two member or
Yeah,
the simultaneous
yeah.
streaming across multiple platforms.
Mhm.
And my dad's never watched it, so I've like offered that out to a number of people. Be like, hey, do you guys want this this
Do,
password? And to my knowledge, no one else is actively using it. So
hmm.
we'll see.
Would I then get all of your restrictions?
I don't know. I've
Or
I mean, my restrictions, as far as like global blackouts, anything that's nationally televised, and anything that's within my like local area, which it seems entirely arbitrary. If I watch on my laptop, I can't watch Pistons or Cavs, but if I watch on my PlayStation, I can watch Cavs. I don't know why it thinks like laptops can't do Cavs, but the PlayStation can. Who knows?
yeah, for all the downsides of the games being played during the day, at least with my one subscription I can watch every single game.
That is nice. That is really nice.
Mm.
No, I'm
So
now looking at
maybe I
getting
should give you my subscription.
just get a VPN just to watch NBA games
Yeah.
instead of doing all of their different subscriptions. I'm looking at getting Peacock now, which I'm kind of interested in, and for like The Office and some other good old American sitcoms. But I'm like, oh man, opening night is on Peacock. Okay, okay, I see you NBA. I can do that.
Man, they really got you.
I'm actually really stoked about them uh, splitting up the broadcast because I don't have cable, and it was either like pirate it or something. I'm like, I really just I don't feel the desire to pirate when I'm already paying for League Pass. But the marquee games were always on ESPN or TNT, and now they're split to Peacock, which is cheap, and my wife will watch shows on it, so like I can semi justify that purchase, or Amazon Prime, which I already have because listen, man, baby food is expensive, and if you get shipped to you on regular shipping, it saves a fair amount of money. So yeah, but that's not what we're here to talk about. And I already have another side tangent that I wanted to talk about before we get into the thing that we're here to talk about, which is
Mm.
part two and part three of the best of the Western Conference, the top 10 teams, which should be in the play in. And the thing that I wanted to talk about first is that we got an email. No reaction? I expect like a yes.
I, I want to know what it is first.
The
Is is it
Pelicans email.
is it just what is the is it like spam? It's
No,
like
no,
someone trying to get
no.
us to sign up to their.
No, it's from a long time listener, not first time emailer either. Mitch is emailing back in, and he is arguing for the Pelicans in the most middling way possible, which is that they don't have win now players. Zion is the only one that he would categorize as such, and the length of his career is question, or the length of his career is the question, not that the ability of another team made a move to get him. I mean, would likely be a win now or in the next season, not down the line. However, while many point to Herb Jones and Trey being in the same camp, I would look to the most recent rebuild the Pistons did, which is ironic since Troy Weaver led that front office. Cade entered the league with little spacing, being rostered next to players like Killian Hayes, a husk of Joe Harris, amongst many more. Where the common trend there was lack of spacing, and Cade, the lead ball handler and initiator for the offense, and suffered as a result. I reckon here Weaver may have learned from previous mistakes, with shooters like Trey and Herb on the perimeter, Queen and Fears, who both had their questions about their shot in the pre-draft, can have an easier access to the lane if defenders sag in. Having an opportunity to or showcase and perfect their passing prowesses. Man, reading emails live is a little bit challenging. Um, just this thing about what an average or below average wing would do to stifle this even more. Would Aaron rather see Harrison Barnes in this offense? Kevin Herter? I doubt that defenders would respect those two as much. By having avenue for real innovation, Fear and Queens can utilize and showcase their skills while honing their shooting outside of the bright lights. He goes on, but ultimately, I think you get the point there, where he is not as high on the Pelicans as far as like could they be good this year. I know I was a bit higher on them this year, but he thinks that having Herb and Trey around their rookies still has enough value that he is against doing any sort of fire sale to move off these guys.
You know, that definitely makes sense. And then the other thing, from that perspective is even if you do say that like maybe we shouldn't be looking at this through the eyes of a win now team, that this is a team that is rebuilding, is like even their veteran guys are not that old. Like Herb is 27, Trey's 25. Like these are guys who, if the goal is to build around the likes of Fears and Queen, where definitely these are the kind of complementary skill sets that can make the lives of that sort of player um, a lot easier, and like you said, give them experience of being able to find those reads.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like when's Fears prime, like 5 or 6 years from now, like they're well, maybe they're on their way out by that point. But like this is not a particularly old team where Murphy and Herb, who have such very much that complementary skill set, they can also like stick around with these young guys while they develop those skills.
Yeah, and he goes on, and I gotta say that he's not entirely opposed to seeing a fire sale, but he's now able to recognize the value that having these spacers and these competent players next to the ascendant, the projected stars really has. And he says is that this seems to be something that a lot of the NBA is overlooking, and I think I do fully agree with that. Kind of ever since we saw the process 76ers, who were like, let's be as bad as possible. One of the ways the process 76ers were as bad as possible was by cutting out any semblance of like solid rotation guys, any veteran presence. And I think you see that a lot in some of these young teams where it's like, man, who are the vets here? Who are helping these guys? Not just like off the court in a way that, Utah's got Kevin Love. He's not going to see the court. Yusuf Nurkic, I mean, he may see the court, but like they're not good vets. In New Orleans, though, having some established players, not vets, but just guys like Herb and Trey, even if you're focusing on the next generation, the Fears and Queen, has a lot of value and could be really helpful. And so I appreciate Mitch for this email. I also appreciate him shouting out a local Indian place. He says he's been to Lansing, apparently checked it out. Grains on Waverly. phenomenal. I was so pumped because this place is actually relatively close to me. So uh, I love some good Indian food.
Nice. Is American Indian food the same as like New Zealand Indian food?
I don't know. I don't know if I would feel like yours is more or less authentic than ours. We actually have a relatively decent Indian population in the Greater Lansing area. So it's in my mind it's relatively authentic. I don't know
What
though.
what do you what are you getting when you pull up to the Indian restaurant?
So I picked up some Indian this weekend and got three dishes. We got some buttered chicken. Just we're basic white people. That's what we do.
Right.
We got some mushroom mutter, and then I got some chicken vindaloo because I do like something with just a
Okay.
little bit more heat.
So it does sound like it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that anything could be named the same. It could be very different. I've had American
Mm,
tacos, and I've had tacos in other countries, and trust me, tacos are not the same everywhere.
maybe. Do you have like the same meme of the white girl Indian order, which is mild butter chicken and a garlic naan?
No, but that is my wife's go-to.
Well,
Hey, it's not
you know,
bad.
steer.
It's a solid order.
It's a good meal.
There is a indie comedian that I saw on TikTok that had the jokes about like, hey, listen, we know garlic or butter chicken is good. It's what we order when white people aren't around. Like we can't order it. You go into an Indian restaurant as an Indian and you see white people there and you're like, oh, I'll order something different. But you go in when there's no one else there. It's like, cool, let me get some buttered chicken because no one will judge me.
Hmm.
It's a funny bit. I'm not doing it justice, but I'll send it to you on TikTok.
I understand.
All right, we ready to get into this?
Yes.
Let's do it. Parts 2 and 3, we're combining the top 10 teams of the Western Conference, and we're doing them two at a time here. We have the back half of what is our projected play in the Memphis Grizzlies, whom, you know what, you went for 500. I went slightly above 500. Aaron cratered them at 35 wins, and it feels like each day we're getting more and more injury news. Zach
Yeah.
Edey, Jaron Jackson Jr. I just saw Ty Jerome's going to be out for a little bit. Scottie Pippen Jr. is out for a little bit. Um, whew, that's rough.
Yeah, I guess the one silver lining for them is that Ja and Jaren are supposed to be good to go. On
Is Jaron up to good to go? I thought he was still hurt.
let's see. I promise I did do research before this podcast. I actually spent a lot of time going through the Memphis Grizzlies injuries. Um, yeah, he should be good.
Huh, well, that makes me feel better about
Maybe
it. I am
if he's
interested
not,
to
then he
see
won't be
more
long.
Santi
Given that
Aldama
it's
minutes. I
possible.
like and that's what I've kind of noticed for a lot of these guys. Scottie Pippen Jr. might be out for a little bit more. I want to say I saw like a 10 to 12 weeks on him, but the Memphis has done exceptionally well filling the holes and the cracks in the rotation. And you know what? They got Jock Landale. Let's get Jock some minutes.
I mean, he might have to start. They I mean, it's interesting that they swapped out Jay Huff for Jock Landale, who has like in theory a similar sort of skill set, as in like a guy who can kind of defend the rim and maybe shoot some threes. Except
Will
Jock
he put in
Landale's
as many reverse
actually not
dunks?
good as those. I don't know if Jock Landale can dunk.
So you're telling me that he has a similar skill set, except for he can't really jump to defend the rim, and he can't really shoot threes, and he doesn't do the one cool thing that Jay Huff did in reverse dunks. How do they have a similar skill set again?
There's this thing called playing the right way. There's this thing called having a high IQ. Okay.
It's a high motor. It's rebounding in well. I'm very interested to see what their offense looks like. They're supposedly moving away from pick and rolls, doing a lot more motion sets. I don't know how well that's gonna work for them. In my
No,
mind,
no, no. Pick and roll is back.
pick and roll is back.
Pick and roll is back. Yeah.
I, what
There's
was their coach's name? Isolo?
yeah, Isolo.
Isolo.
Yeah. Apparently he's actually a pick and roll guy. It was the other guy on the other assistant that they had that was the guy that went for the
That
motion
was running their
stuff.
offense that Ja hated.
Yeah, exactly. But pick and roll's back. We're gonna get Zach Edey if he ever comes healthy, setting really good screens. Ja Morant getting downhill.
I expect this to be a very rough start to the year with all of the injuries. Um, but Memphis has kind of shown that they're nothing if not resilient. I mean, last year they won
Mhm.
48 games despite having a fair number of injuries, not like what they've had in prior years. But they were a close 500 team, and losing Desmond Bain hurts. But if KCP can bounce back to what he was 2 years ago, was to absolutely unable to hit a shot in Orlando, like you're gonna get 80% of Bane in back there. If you can get some progression in what is a relatively young roster. I mean, Morant is still young. He's gonna be a sophomore. Edie's gonna be a sophomore. Jaren Jackson Jr. Was he going into year 7, year 8? There's still room for improvement there, just age wise. Like they have a good young core, and Ty Jerome was magic off the bench for the Cavs. He was a lot of found money there. So, if he can cover up some of the additional loss of Bane's offense, like, there's no reason in my mind that they are going to just crater like Aaron's 35 if wins projection
Yeah.
outside of
Not
injuries.
not to mention that they were the most unlucky team last year in terms of actual wins compared to expected wins based on point differential. So they had the point differential of a 53 win team and ended up winning five fewer than what would be expected by that point differential. Um, and so
Not,
going from 53 wins to 35 because Desmond Bain and Zach Edey are out.
yeah, that's a lot. I will say, I believe a little bit of their point differential is bolstered by the fact that they are comfortable beating up on bad teams. Like they're not exactly a team that takes the foot off the brakes. And then their unexpected losses, they don't really have a lot of clutch players. And I think if they were to get into the play-in this situation, I'm favoring whoever they're playing, taking them out. And this is a team that has done all right in the play-in. They have taken out both the Golden State Warriors, which were heavy favorites before, but just they don't have a lot of clutch shot makers, and they kind of need to win the game through the first three as opposed to winning it in the final minutes.
And look, they may be able to. Like this is a
They
team
should.
that sort of constantly outperforms what is expected of them. I
Yeah.
think they have a really good coach. Whenever Jar and Jaren play together, they are unbeatable. Jaren Jackson's one of the best defensive players in the league. Like they're going to be a good defense. If you look at that starting five, which may or may not be the one they go with, and in fact it won't be to start because of injuries. But outside of
Mm-hmm.
Jar, that's like four really high level defensive players. And then you've got a top 30 player, one of the best point guards in the league. Um, plus Ty Jerome, one of the best bench scorers in the league. Like this is a team that, and in terms of like the injuries, sort of next man up, the Grizzlies always manage to find some guys. Um, like they're sort of Miami Heat like in the way that they just like pull these random guys out of
Sure.
nowhere and then all of a
Sure.
sudden they're contributors. And so like it's always it's a little bit scary picking the Grizzlies to have a low record. When I first mocked it out, I had them winning in the high 40s before some of these injuries came down.
And I do think, and I say this all the time, I try to keep our wins close. They don't exactly have to be the exact wins available in comparison to an actual season. But like for context, like, there are 1,230 wins every year, no matter how good or how bad every team is. There will always be 1,230 wins across the league. If you look at like a Vegas over under, Vegas pretty consistently projects more wins than what is actually possible, under the guise that like some team will fall off, some team will have massive injuries, and they will lose 20, 30 games more than expected, like what we saw in Philadelphia last year. And that will bolster everyone else's wins by two or three. So when I'm putting Memphis at 43, that's a preseason prediction. You know, everyone's going to get hurt on some team, and instead of 43, they might be more like 40, 46, just because that's how these things usually shake out. But until we see which team craters, like it's just it's off season predictions. It's healthy, assuming general health.
Mm.
Uh, Real quick before we move on to Dallas, I did just want to read because you've put up their top 10 rotation wise, or your projections. That's for their top 10 on the slideshow. Some of the guys not listed on there, the aforementioned Jock Landale, G.G. Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Cam Spencer. Like, when we say next man up, they have 14 players who I expect
Mm.
to see on a basketball court in a
Even
relatively regular setting.
their rookie Cedric Howard is supposed to be a guy
Cedric Howard.
who that people are expecting is maybe able to make an impact right away.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I said multiple times, injuries notwithstanding, but I think we do have to talk about some injuries being withstanding when discussing the Dallas Maverick, whom Kyrie is out, and injections are wild as to how long he could be out. I have seen some people saying he could come back as soon end of December. February feels like the kind of standard talk. And you are if we see him before April, playing high level for April, be surprised. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'm not expecting any high level play from Kyrie this year. If he does come back, I think he's going to be working his way back. He's going to come back late, and so I'm really not factoring him into my predictions really whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And what he
Which,
tore his ACL in March, and that's like a 12-month injury.
yeah, 10 to
So
12,
like,
well, from what I've
yeah, so
seen.
like he could come back, but like when a player comes back from a major injury after spending 10 months out, like they don't come back and are themselves right away. Like,
So, Impredictable, one of the best sports injury websites out there, has charted a whole bunch of these ACL tears, injuries, has found that it is generally 10 to 12 months recovery, but only 40% of players who were ever All Stars before tearing their ACLs return to All Star form, are named to another All Star team after tearing their ACLs. So it's kind of a crusher. Also, a pretty high risk of re injury or another injury coming off of it.
hmm.
So it's certainly not something that you really want to rush Kyrie back. That said, this team without Kyrie is still somewhat interesting. I think you put the starting lineup of D'Lo, Clay, Flag, Davis, and Lively. They've been running more in the preseason with Flag as the point guard, and a like Flag, Clay, PJ, Davis, and Lively, which is insanely big, and I don't hate it. I kind of like the idea of put Flag out there, make him earn his chops defensively, and get work in setting up the other guys. Like it's kind of the rookie-ish move of like here to work hard and make us look good. He's doing it. I've really liked what I've seen from him in the preseason. Have you gotten to watch much Flag?
No, I don't really watch a lot of preseason to be fair. Um, but I think that does get to a point which is the incongru. I'm not going to attempt that one again. The um the this sort of poor roster construction in terms of a timeline where running Cooper Flag as point guard, giving him the ball all the time, sort of Cade Cunningham style, is probably a really good thing for his development. But Cooper Flag is not going to be an NBA caliber point guard in his rookie season. And this team that has all these old players and is in theory trying to win games and is trying to prove that they were right in trading Luca for Anthony Davis, needs to win now. And I don't think that Flag's going to have that kind of on ball juice right off the bat, even though for his long term development, that is probably a good thing.
I'm starting to think that they could actually just be the Orlando Magic in the Western Conference and have this grimy
Mm,
ugly for 90% of the season. Like last year, which, half the years with Luca, half the years with I think, well, less than half instantly got hurt. But last year they were 18th on offense, 20th on defense. I could easily see them being top five on defense and like 23rd, 25th on offense. And for large parts of the year, provided Kyrie is not a factor. But those style of teams win mid 40s, almost 50 wins, and they at least have shooter. They really have a good distributor and passer outside of Flag, but like I think Clay can still hit the shot. Max Christie can shoot and defend. Pete can shoot and defend, and so they do have offensive weapons out there in ways that Orlando hasn't the last several years.
it's probably pretty comparable. Like they've got one good shooter in Clay Thompson. D'Lo will like create off the dribble, but he's not really a spot up guy. Definitely not a movement
Mm-hmm.
guy. And then like there's no one else that would really consider above average. And so like this is a team that's going to have a dearth of playmaking because D'Angelo Russell is not that good, and I don't think Cooper Flag is going to be a that level of player right away. And then not great shooting either. Combine that with Anthony Davis is incredibly overweight. Did you see his weigh in?
I saw that he weighed in like 20 pounds heavier. They put him at 20
Yeah,
pounds heavier, something. Um, Very odd for a guy that is trying to play more four and less five. I remember he bulked up. Oh gosh, it was like 2 years after the Lakers title. I think it was 22. I remember texting with my friend Ben about it, and just because he was at the game, and I was like, "Hey, Davis looks like he's now," and he's like, "Yeah, no, he is significantly bigger. There's not a lot of movement going on in his game." Um, and it worries me to see him that heavy.
yeah. Especially when it's not muscle. It's just that he's fat. Like he's just
Hmm.
they traded Luca because the dude couldn't keep his weight under control, and then Anthony Davis is 15 pounds overweight and just and maybe that's like the injury that he had. Like maybe he wasn't really able to do a lot of cardio with that detached retina. But like the way that this team in theory can really succeed, like you said, is Orlando Magic style, is even though the offense isn't good, that the defense is so good. But if Anthony Davis is slow, um, and then like there's no one on the team that can defend a point guard, and then you're going to have Cooper Flag, who's one of your better help defenders, having to be an on-ball guy because you don't have anyone else that can defend on the ball. Um, I don't see them reaching their sort of defensive potential as well, which is where I come out in sort of the low 40s for them.
Yeah, my 45 wins is maybe a bit high. Also, when just considering if Anthony Davis goes down, this could really hurt. Like Davis is prone to missing time, and if he misses 20 games before Kyrie is back, they're
Yeah, which
probably
which
lucky to get 5 wins out of those 20 games.
is that like a lock? Is Anthony Davis missing 20 games pretty much a lock, especially if he's coming in
I
so
mean,
out of shape?
20 games over the course of the year, absolutely a lock. 20 games before Kyrie comes back, percent chance of happening. We'll see. Those are the two teams that we expect to kind of be limping into the coming in with a little bit more security. We have the Golden State Warriors team we're projecting for 47 wins, and the San Antonio Spurs. We are also projecting 47 wins. Uh, Dylan, since
Hmm.
you are the high man on the Warriors out of the trio, dragging them up to that 47, why don't you give us the Warriors start off first?
So after acquiring Jimmy Butler, admittedly it was late, and so you do get a little bit of small sample size stuff. But after getting Butler, their offense and their defense became really elite. In fact, their defense was good all season. Over the course of the season, they were the seventh ranked defense, and then they got Butler, and then they became a top 10 offense as well. Then you combine that with the fact that now they're going to get that not only for a full season, but they've also improved the roster overall, where they were a 48 win team last year, struggling to score in the first half of the season without Butler, and then now having the full season of him, getting Al Horford, so now they've got legitimate 5-out spacing while being able to defend really well, like three guys who can sort of switch really well, and also offer some rim protection and really good help defenders. Hopefully a healthy season from D'Anthony Melton as well, giving them something off the bench. Like this was a 48 win team last year that got even better. And so, yeah, I'm expecting them to win in sort of the high 40s, maybe push to the low 50s.
My knock against them getting better is they've just gotten better names, but I continue to get
You don't think
older.
Al Horford is better than Kevon Looney?
I I don't know. At this point in his career, what what Al Horford has left in the tank. Al Horford did not have it night to night for Boston. He stepped up in the playoffs when the time games is more regulated, more spaced out. They're now talking about starting Al Horford, like and needing Al Horford to play fairly regular minutes. And if Horford isn't doing that, it's Trace Jackson Davis, it's Quentin Post, or a lot of super small ball lineups, and that is formula for an 82 game regular season. Playoffs, 100% agree. Much more lethal in the playoffs. Regular season, you got another pissed off Jonathan Kuminga year with bad vibes. Jimmy Butler. Uh, have you seen this man care about the regular season in the last half decade? No.
Well,
Um,
look,
Draymond Green,
they'll have
another year older, another year less athletic.
they're going to have to care because we've got them as a high 40 win team, and we're saying that they're going to be in the play-in, and I don't think that they want to be in the play-in, and so I do think that they are going to push to a certain degree. And to the Horford point, like yes, he'll you know shouldn't be playing more than like 25, 26 minutes a night. He'll probably play about 60 games, won't play back to backs. But he started 42 games last year, played 28 minutes a game, and in those games where he's out, then they're they haven't lost. Kevon Looney wasn't a big factor for them last year. In the games that Horford's out, then it's just Quinton Post and Trace Jackson Davis, the same center rotation that they had last year when they won 48 games. And so I'm not too concerned
But
about that. I think it gives them more upside, while the downside risk I don't think is that great. Although I do agree that another year older Draymond, another year older Jimmy Butler, another year
mm-hmm,
older Stephen Curry
mm-hmm.
will drop them down a little bit, which is why I'm only predicting them for one win more. And I'm not saying they're going to win in the mid 50s or beyond, which is the way that they played after getting Jimmy last season, um, before improving their roster in the offseason too.
I'll also just say that so much of them depends on Curry's health. The with and
Mm.
without Curry numbers for the Green Butler or Curry trio, it's dramatic. Uh, and I don't. I mean, Father Time is undefeated, and I know we are currently watching a generation play at a high level, way beyond any other like generation. I mean, we go back to like the early 2000s when Jordan came back and was with the Wizards and putting up solid numbers, high level play. Karl Malone was still as putting up solid numbers, high-ish level play, but like having guys playing at this high of a level this late in their careers, especially as like a trend, Curry, Durant, and LeBron all doing it. I mean, there's going to be a drop off soon. One of those guys can't keep doing this that long, so I'm hedging my bet. I'm going with force here. Sorry, Warriors.
Well, it makes
But
sense.
I don't know if you noticed. I muted myself, shut down the camera to switch the jerseys behind me for a good old Victor Wembanyama.
Nice. Are you going to do that for every single team? When 90% of
Uh,
the 90% of our audience is audio only.
I mean, doesn't hurt. I've got the Spurs at 47 wins. The Warriors, you've got them 5 wins. Has them being a 51 win team. All of that averages out to being 47 wins, and give or take a few decimal places. Um, my hype around the on the Spurs is primarily Victor Wembanyama. I think that should be everyone's primary hype. With him on the floor, they were a top five defense. With him off the floor, they were visibly having Luke Cornett there. I think will help shore up some of the off minutes. Victor Wembanyama, um, getting a season. I know Fox is hurt, but it doesn't seem to be a long term injury. Having a full season with Fox should be equal to their offense. And then just getting another year of experience from Stephon Castle. Well, hopefully he can be take steps forward as a defender and be kind of a lockdown guy for them. I think the Spurs have what it takes as far as the superstar high end talent and then complementary pieces to be a near 50 win team. 50 if things break right.
I do think that their upside is there, and I do feel like if there's going to be a team that makes me look like an idiot, this is probably it. Where I'm saying 44 wins where you guys are closer to 50. And I think that there is definitely a world in which they're a 51 team, just on the idea that if we look at some of these sort of elite defensive players over recent years, take, for example, prime Rudy Gobert, where every single season you were going to be a top three defense just by having Rudy Gobert. Um, Wembanyama is probably even better than like is he a better defender than Prime Rudy Gobert? He's certainly going to run away
Yes.
with Defensive Player of the Year if he even plays. If he makes the threshold, like he's a lock. There'll be no contest for Defensive Player of the Year. And then as you say, Luke Cornett is also a very good defensive center, where the Spurs entirely fell apart whenever Wembanyama would leave the floor last year. They now do have a very good defensive center. And so there's a world in which this is just a top three defense. And then they also have the third best player in the league, we're saying, probably a top 20 offensive player taking another step forward.
Mm-hmm.
That is enough to elevate them to being a decent offense as well. So like there is definitely a world in which I look really dumb and they win 50 games. The reason that I went a little bit lower is Fox is already injured. He's maybe going to start the season, I think. Did I have noted, or he's going to miss a few games?
I think he's
And
gonna
then
miss the
like
first week.
yeah, not so bad. And so like outside of Fox, this roster isn't really that great. Stephon Castle, I think, who's become one of the most overrated players in the NBA because he was able to put up good box score numbers. He had incredibly high usage and incredibly low efficiency. That's exactly what I want around Victor Wembanyama. Another rookie guard and Dylan Harper, who I think will be a pretty good player and maybe even a pretty good player in his first season, but he's not going to be the type of player who you need with the ball in his hands on a 50-win team. And then
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Barnes, another year older. Keldon Johnson is like the definition of a mid, you know, forward. Sohan still can't shoot, and so like the offense, I think, is still gonna struggle. Um, due to having those young guys with the ball all the time. Um, and then, like, in terms of how many games is Wimby going to play, that is, something that we can't really know. 71 games in his rookie season and then 46 the previous. Is he back to 71? Is he somewhere in between? It's really hard to say. I hope that it's 71. And if it is, then maybe this is a team that can really push upwards. But factoring in a bit of missed time for Wimby, and I think they're going to be absolutely awful in any game that he doesn't play. Fox already missing time, and their guard play is not going to be that good. Some of the complementary players aren't exactly complementary. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit lower than maybe than you guys are on the Spurs.
Number one, most likely team to pull off a trade, or like most likely to pull off a trade. I mean, just they have ass as far as terms of future picks. They have contracts that are movable with Barnes, Vassell, little Keldon Johnson. Like they can put together things. So you really was enamored with Castle or Harper. Um, Maybe they don't want to do it because you don't want to lock yourself into Fox, Wemby, and potential third guy.
Yeah,
But in my mind, if they can pull off a deal to replace Harrison Barnes with an upgrade, getting like a spacing four that's good. Like I know I heard the name marketing a billion times, but I mean maybe it's less than that. Maybe it's a Trey Murphy. I don't want to say Denny Avdia, but like you go for a number of guys that could really take these Spurs to the next level. And I think that's, at least in part, I'm kind of expecting is that at some point, either the young guys are really going to play well, like Harper and Castle, and show that this team could be on a 50-win pace, or if they're not there, halfway through the year, if the team is just not, at 50 wins, if they're hovering around 500, I just kind of expect the Spurs to make a shakeup, which is maybe not the most Spursian thing. I forget how many years it's been since they made an in-season trade. I feel like they made one of 2 or 3 years ago, and it was like, yeah, it's the first time in like 15 years they made an in-season trade. But
De'Aaron Fox.
yeah, yeah, I think when the Fox deal happened, it was like the first time they made an in trade in 15 years. But
Mm.
you know, it, they just strike me as a team that's poised, ready, and has the expectations to do it, and will try to figure out a way to get there.
Maybe.
Uh, Speaking of getting there, this is the teams we expect to get out of the play and into the playoffs, and now here are the teams we expect to be in the playoffs. Oh my god, that yellow hurts my eyes.
I originally had it the purple, but it just looked so Kingsy to me. Like
Yeah,
it's like their current shade of purple is different to like their classic shade of purple. Like the Lakers have such like a recognizable um color scheme and like that purple and gold, but like their current purple is a different kind of purple. And so when you like see it, it doesn't quite look Lakers like, whereas um the gold is recognizable.
listen, I I didn't even introduce it. If you just listen to audio, you just know that my eyes hurt. Um, we've got the Lakers as our projected 6 seed with 48 wins. The Rockets as our projected 5. Rights are now on my screen. It's just looking like ketchup and mustard all up in here. Dylan, Dylan doesn't even know what ketchup and mustard are. He's been a vegan too long. He doesn't remember the good old days of hot dogs. All right. Well, these are my Lakers. I was the Aaron being the high man with 50 wins for these
Hmm.
guys. Um, I know you reached out about dropping the Lakers after the LeBron initial injury. Is it weird to say that when the LeBron injury was announced, I was like, that's kind of a good thing for us? Like, LeBron hurts our he hurts our defense. He doesn't give consistent effort night in. He's absolutely a needed part of the team, uh, a high level player. But like, I care a lot more about having LeBron in April than I do having him in October. So like, if he's gonna be hurt, yeah, take him on. Doncic and Reeves cook. Let's start or Vanderbilt. Let's have a little fence off balance. It doesn't seem too bad to me to have LeBron miss some early games.
I mean, that might be the case if his replacements were, excuse me, if his replacements were good. But like, we're gonna have like Gabe Vincent or Marcus Smart or Vanderbilt start. Like, those are guys who are gonna. I mean, Vincent has actually looked good in the preseason. He might be back after
Vincent
struggling
fucking
with injury
cooked the
last
other
year.
day.
He did, yeah, and he was like a player
Yeah.
that I thought was actually a really good signing for them when they made, and then he just has never been healthy. So like maybe he's he's the LeBron replacement, but like these other guys, they're just not good players. Like it's the shit shuffle all over again. And now instead of that being your terrible bench, it's now a terrible starter as well. Like I do think that there is a world where having LeBron out could, in theory, improve the team, but it's by putting in a player that fits better around Luca, around Reeves, a good shooter who can also defend. Where the Lakers have no two-way players on the roster. If it was healthy Dorian Finney-Smith, then maybe that's you could see a world in which that might be fine. But
That is really the spot that's missing is a healthy Dorian Finney-Smith fifth year because now they are going to be forced to starting either Vanderbilt or Smart to have like a defensive point of attack defender, ball pressure, or guy out there, and that then leaves them um, not something I'm excited about. Rookie season, but he was close to 20 points per game at times last year, and I think Rui. I think the offense will be fine without LeBron. Like, I mean, Doncic is an offense in and of himself.
yeah,
Laravia, Rui, Reeves get you high teens, if not 20s, is on a given night. More so for Reeves, but you know, I think the Lakers' biggest question this year is going to be either defense and LeBron. LeBron hasn't cared about defense on a non-nationally televised game in years.
yeah. But I mean, like the the defensive upgrade of Jared Vanderbilt over LeBron is less than the offensive downgrade of having a total non-offensive player on the floor. And then I think the other thing that sometimes gets lost is we talked about the Grizzlies underperforming their point differential by a huge margin. The Lakers way overperformed their point differential. And so this was a team that had the quality of a 45 win team with LeBron playing 70 games with about 70 from Luca and Davis combined. And like, did the roster get better? Maybe worse. Probably a slight downgrade, and also LeBron's going to play half as many games. Like, I don't see how this team is getting better.
Well, they'll have a full off season. They had a full off season, full try to implement a
And
system
skinny
and
Luca.
build a system around having Doncic and LeBron, as opposed to that being a mid-season out of nowhere trade. Yeah, yeah. Um, the idea that they desperately need all around quality players as opposed to like specialists is very strong. I'm I'm somewhat hopeful that Dalton Connect can figure his life back out as a Laker because he started last season so good, and then after the trade was just a complete shell of himself. The trade that got rescinded, because Lakers could really use someone with his like archetype of skills, someone that can run the floor, push the tempo, and hit shots. They don't have a lot of those guys. It's out there. Yeah, we finished up the Spurs saying like if they could upgrade their power forward position, and like looking at the Lakers, like oh man, Rui a 40% 3 point shooter at the four next to Wemby would be really nice. If they could get, they would never give up Stephon Castle for Rui, but like that type of trade where the Lakers send out Rui and got back a good defensive of guard would be huge for this team. Um, it's an incomplete roster. That's for sure for a thing, but I just can't see a team with Luca and LeBron on them being worse than what they were last year. That just doesn't even. They're gonna go for it more.
Mm. Um, we haven't talked about the new additions. What are you expecting from DeAndre Ayton and from Marcus Smart?
Smart, I'm expecting to be heavily in the Lakers rotation early, and then show that he has nothing left in the tank, and like you know,
Show
November
why he got
20
dropped by
minutes
two
a
straight
night,
teams.
December 15 minutes a night. Yeah, January and February being like the number one guy on TradeNBA.com's like fake
Yeah.
trades list from Lakers trying to figure out who they can send him to.
Yeah.
So I expect like less than nothing from Smart. Aiton, uh, Aiton, I watched heavily in the preseason, and he'll get 2 blocks and then be like, "Cool, I have done my job defending the rim. I don't need to do it anymore this game," and like let people drive by him. And it was like it's highlight followed by absolute passivity. It's exactly what we have been critical on of him for the last few years. Of when he cares, he has the motor, he has speed, and then he'll be apathetic. And so I expect like th- out of 10 plays, I expect 3 of them to be really good, 4 of them to be really bad, and then those like remaining 3 could make or break the night or the game for him. So I don't know, not the highest, but also I'm not ready to bury the DeAndre Ayton experience just yet.
Mm. Um, if he can like figure it out, like Luca could make um, his offense really pop. Like Luca does really well with a proper pick and roll big. If he
Mm-hmm.
can learn how to set a screen and use his body and roll with the right tempo, Luca could just feed him all day in a really unstoppable sort of way.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like the Lakers don't have spacing around him. I mean, with the projected starting five of Luca, LeBron, Reeves, Rui, you've got 4 guys that you're not going to leave open in pick and roll situations or on the perimeter. I mean, Rui has been pretty consistent 40% from three. LeBron is LeBron. You're never going to leave him or Luca. And then Reeves is crafty. The 3 point shot does wax and wane a bit, but if you're a defense, the help's probably going to come from Aiton, and so he could have the easiest 16 points a night of his life if he just rolls to the rim well. On the other end of our slideshow here, or we've got the Houston Rockets. Both you and Aaron projected 50 wins for them. Maybe I should have been harsher. Maybe I should have dropped them more for wins, but we did all take significant wins off of them. I think we had them as like a pretty consensus third seed. Then Fred Van Vliet went down, and now they're similar to the Lakers in that they're a team that wants to win a title, but has some glaring holes, and their glaring hole is the point guard position. Maybe we can figure out a Reeves for Finney Smith and Jabari Smith, or Reeves and they're Smith and Eason. Bring back some defenders. They get a point guard. Actually, don't hate that entirely. Trade. Talk to me about your Rockets optimism.
Um, if you had gone from last season and just said the Rockets traded Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green for Kevin Durant and Dorian Finney-Smith, don't you think you'd say that that's an upgrade?
No, I don't have the exact numbers here, but they lost Fred Van Vliet for a stretch last year and really struggled. They were like 500 without Van Vliet because of how much he meant to their team and to their offense. Let me see here. So they last year were 52 and 30, and with Van Vliet on the court, let's see. With Van Vliet, they were 41 and 19. So without Van Vliet, they won 11 games and lost 11. So yeah, they were 500 without Van Vliet. Um, in the abstract, the vacuum test, yes, Finney Smith or Durant and Finney Smith are better than Van Vliet and Green, but vibes around Durant have been weird the last couple of years, and Finney Smith is as good as the team is around him. Like he is a complementary defensive player that can hit threes, but like he's not gonna raise the team's ceiling. So I'm not entirely sure about their ability to generate cohesive offense and like run things as a unit. I guess you're just running a lot through Alper and Şengün. Is Şengün now the de facto offensive hub in the same way Sabonis and Jokic are?
Yeah, I mean that'd be probably the idea. It's either that or you hope that Amin can take enough of a step forward where he's just the point guard, and you can just play, Amin, Jabari, Kevin Durant, Tari Easton, Şengün all together. Or you go to the double bigs and you get every single rebound. Um, I was very high on Şengün. I think we all were. I mean, we had him ranked as our 24th best player in the
Mm-hmm.
NBA. Um, and so yeah, I do think that playing more through him is a way that they can get that offense up. Playing two bigs, getting every single offensive rebound. The offensive rebounding is part of offense as well. And so even if their first shot, scoring takes a bit of a dip because they don't have that organization from Fred VanVleet, they're gonna get 50% of their misses as putbacks. Um,
They started what may be the tallest lineup I have ever seen. I feel like there was one other insanely tall lineup up like this that included Bol Bol, but they started
oh, the
Şengün,
Nuggets one,
Adams. Yeah, yeah,
the Jokic running point guard with Bol Bol and Zeke Naji at the three.
yes, yes. But I mean, that was kind of a joke of a lineup. This might actually be their starting lineup for a number of games this regular season.
Mm.
Şengün, Steven Adams, Jabari Smith Jr., Kevin Durant, and Amen Thompson, where like Durant and Amen are the small guys on the court. And what is Amen? Is he 6'6", 6'8", 6'7", right in between. So 6'7", 6'9", 6'11", 6'10", and 7 foot. Like that is, uh, those are some big boys out there.
Mm. But not just that, but guys who have offensive skill, um,
Mm-hmm.
right up and down the court. It's not a situation where you're putting out this really big lineup just because you're hoping that it'll, maybe get you stops or that you can rebound with it. But like Kevin Durant can create a shot. Amin Thompson can get downhill and finish at the rim. Alperen Şengün can run offense. Steven Adams has like this perverse sense of gravity where because guys are so scared of him offensive rebounding, they just like don't rotate in to like protect the rim. They just like stay boxing him out and like let guys get to the rim. Um, so like that's still like an off a lineup that could succeed offensively.
Aaron, can you, by percentage, give me the Rockets' top 3-point shooters from last season? I've got it pulled up here. I,
Hmm. Uh, I mean, it probably
uh,
depends on like minimums and games. I think Aaron Holiday is a bomber, right? Like he's a 40% guy.
Aaron Holiday, 40%. Yes, he is one of 7 guys who shot above 35%. I think league average was like 36 something, but just above 35%. They got 7 guys. How many of those 7 are still on their roster?
Uh, two.
2. Aaron Holiday and Jabari Smith Jr. Jacques Landale with his incredible
Oh,
low usage,
f-
40%.
forget about Jock Landale. That's not a. That's no sample to consider.
Jalen Green is gone. Cam Whitmore is gone. Dylan Brooks is gone. And actually, it may be 3. Jeff Green may be there. I don't know if Green is still on the roster or not. But
He is, but again, he's not. He's not properly.
yeah,
He's not really
yeah.
playing.
Very happy for Durant that he gets to continue his like reunion tour of playing with old Thunder guys. It's Steven Adams and
Mm.
Jeff Green again. Um, but Durant is one of the best mid-range scorers there is. He's capable of creating his own shot, but this is going to be some of the least spacing he has ever played with a potential that starting lineup of Adams, Şengün, Amen, and Jabari has just one guy that shot 35% from 3 or above. Really, the other 3 all shot below 30% outside of Durant. So like it's going to be a crowded offense, and I don't know that Durant alone can elevate the offense. Like Phoenix with Durant and Booker was still a pretty bad offense last year. So I'm a little skeptical about this.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think they're going to be pushing to be one of the best offense. I don't think they'll be as good as the Lakers, for example, in terms of offense. But
Ha, suck
um,
it, Houston.
but like the defense is going to be really, really good. Um, and then like Kevin Durant and Reed Shepherd for Van Vliet and Jalen Green, like I don't think that's a huge downgrade in
Yeah.
terms of your overall offense, where they were the 12th best offense last season. You throw in some offensive rebounds because Clint Capella and Steven Adams are two of the best rebounders in the league, guys who are gonna get every single offensive rebound. And then like they probably brought in even more like capable defenders with Finney Smith if he's ever healthy as well. And so like the defense is going to be really good. I don't think the offensive will be below average. Um, like they shouldn't turn it over too much because they've got a lot of guys who are going to be creating their own shot. Like that's a good way to not get turnovers. You don't turn the ball over a lot from playing ISO. Um, with Durant off, they can push the pace, which will help. With Adams and Capella, and they can get offensive rebounds. And so I think this will be like a good offense and a great defense, very well coached. Um, I think this is going to be a very good team.
Fair enough. They could be. It would be fair to maybe say that there's going to be like a better version of what Dallas is trying to do throughout the first half of the season, where Dallas is just going to be heavy defense with sprinklings of offense, and Houston might
Yeah,
be heavy defense with a little bit more sprinklings of offense.
yeah, and like Amin and Cooper Flag kind of have some parallels of like these guys who, in theory, have the upside of being like first team defense kind of sort of off ball defenders who have some ball skills and are maybe going to be running point guard effectively.
Fair enough. All right. On to our home court teams. We have the Clippers also being a 50-win squad, and the Minnesota Timberwolves being 51 wins in our projections. Dear God, Clippers have 6 players in our top 500, or sorry, top 100. everyone's got 6 players in the top 500. It's not that deep of a league. Sorry, I've been doing top 500 all time stuff. Minnesota has another five. We're starting to see more and more of these high ranking guys. You want to give us the lowdown on your Clippers projections as the high man?
Yeah. So the Clippers won 50 games last year, had a record of 50 and 32. They were the third best defense in the league and ended up at the 15th best offense. Kawhi Leonard played a career low in terms of games, where maybe we're not expecting a lot of games for Kawhi, although he is healthy to start the season for pretty much the first time.
He played
Um,
in the preseason.
he played
I
in the
I
preseason.
gave you
He's
crap about that of like, oh, how many preseason games is Kawhi gonna play? And then we finished up recording. I went and turned on. I was like, what the fuck? Kawhi is playing? It's
yeah.
preseason
So
basketball.
so
This the aspiration investigation must really be turning up stuff if he's playing preseason ball.
yeah, his conscience is cleared, which is it's a whole load off of his back, knowing that he's offset his carbon emissions. But the Clippers played the first half of last season with no Kawhi. Their backup point guard was KPJ, who was the worst player in the NBA, and their backup center rotation was Kai Jones and Mo Bamba, who are both not in the league. In the second half of the season, Kawhi comes back. They get Bogdanovich, Drew Eubanks, who's is he in the league? He's on the Kings or something. Not either way, not a good
Is he on the
player.
Bulls?
And then they
He's in
jumped
the
to
league.
then they became top 10 on offense and top and maintained their elite defense. And so now a full season of having Chris Paul and Bogdanovich as your bench creators when James Harden or Bradley Beal aren't doing stuff. Going from Zubats to Brook Lopez is 48 minutes of very high level center play. They're going to be one of the best defenses in the league. You can lock that in. Um, like this is a team that's won 50 games last year and is significantly better. And so for people predicting them to win in the 40s, I think it's absurd. Now you could say, well, they're really old, they've got all these injury risks. Bradley Beal's already injured. Well, they've also got really elite depth. If Bradley Beal doesn't play, then it's just more Bogdanovich who played well last season, or it's Kawhi's injured. Well, then John Collins, who we ranked as the 86th best player in the NBA, is now playing and he's able to put pressure on the rim and shoot threes. Like it's a team with great depth. They fixed their only two roster construction faults from last season. And while I still have questions about them as a real championship contender, because you're relying on James Harden and Kawhi Leonard for regular season games, James Harden is going to win you games. Ivica Zubac is going to win you games. Anything you can get from a Kawhi is a ceiling raiser. One of the best benches in the league. Like this is a team that's going to be really elite. So for people to be predicting them in the 40s, I think is ridiculous.
So here's my anti Clippers shtick as one of those 40 wins projectors, or 47. Um, you said this was the lowest of Kawhi's career as far as games played last year at 37.
For the
Not
Clippers.
quite for the Clippers. Yeah, doesn't mean we can't have another newer low. Doesn't if we're banking on Kawhi to play more games or even the same, I'm never fully in on that. On the flip side of that, you got 79 games out of James Harden, 80 out of Ivica Zubac. Um, there is always potential that those guys miss more games. Harden especially, where that offense could really grind down. Having Chris Paul as a backup point guard is nice. Chris Paul actually played really good minutes for San Antonio last year, so I'm not knocking it. But if Harden misses some time, I don't think Paul is at a level where he can run the ship. Um, Beal for Powell is a solid enough up, or it's a lateral move. Maybe we'll see what Beal can do. Maybe it's even a slight upgrade from what we've seen in the last year. But I do
Yeah,
worry
it's
about.
a different skill set, right? So you lose some of that off ball shooting, you gain more on ball creation, and so
Mhm.
it's reasonable to say a lateral move. I'd say.
Yeah. I do worry though about what it does to some of the defense offense imbalances because last year they were able to play a lot of Chris Dunn, a lot of Derek Jones Jr. and Zubac, and that's enough to kind of form a solid defense. You also had Amir Coffey out there for 24 minutes a night, and he competed on the defensive end. And you're moving off of some of your defenders. There's Nick Batum is going to factor in even less. He's going to be 37 years old. Ben Simmons played valuable defensive minutes for them. John Collins, not really a guy that I consider much of a defender. Bogdanovich was good for the Clippers, god awful for the Hawks last year. Which Bogdanovich are we going to see? I'm not fully sure, but basically everyone I've mentioned at this point is north of 32. This is an old ass team, and as old ass teams get older, they become more and more ass. It just happens, you know. The fixing some of the holes, but all of the other holes have got, or all of the other players have gotten older. I think there's just room for regression in here. You got Harden got MVP votes last year. I don't think Harden's getting MVP votes this year. Like that just last year's felt like a blip in outside of a normal season for Harden, like a true renaissance period. At 36, I just don't think we're going to keep seeing him at this level.
I mean, like he continues to take steps back in terms of his inside the arc game. But like he's always going to be able to run pick and roll because he's a good shooter. Guys can't go under screens, and he's one of the best passers in the league. And now he's got Zubac and he's got John Collins, who maybe he could play with as well in terms of running pick and roll. And like hopefully some more Kawhi this year. We're starting the season healthy. He's got the good vibes from planting all those trees. Maybe this year as well. You know how I was saying that I got inundated with Kawhi Leonard ads. Apparently it was just a New Zealand thing because you
Mm-hmm.
didn't see them, but I
Mm-hmm.
was getting all those ads for that company
No,
where obviously
they're
he
only in
was
New Zealand.
yeah, just every time my entire feed just inundated with Kawhi Leonard planting trees. Well, maybe he can focus less on that this season and more on playing games, which may have contributed to some of his time off was creating all those ads. And so more Kawhi Leonard I'm expecting as well.
Who would have thought? Playing basketball, something that you should do if you're an NBA player.
He's learned. All right, Minnesota.
Well, over the offseason, over the offseason, Minnesota, Anthony Edwards added a post up game, tried to add to his mid range game, and tried to come back as a better defender. Are you at all scared about what Anthony Edwards could do to this league?
I mean, yeah, we ranked him as the sixth best player in the NBA.
Is that too low? Could that be too low? I think it might be.
Maybe it could be too high as well. But like no, I think I'm factoring in another step forward from Anthony Edwards into my win predictions. Because I had them as a 49 win team. They won 49 wins. They won 49 games last year, and then lost their fifth best player and didn't replace him with anyone. And so part of my them not falling off is expecting a little more from Anthony Edwards, where like this is, I think, the time that he starts to push into maybe the MVP race.
I will say, if I could pick one aspect of Ant's game to work on, it would not have been a mid post game or a mid range game or post up game. It would
Mm.
be his ability to handle pick and rolls and throw lobs out of the pick and roll because he should be able to feed Rudy Gobert and just that has still never reached its like level or its heights that I would expect it to. Um, but as far as like an individual talent, I wonder if when we end the year we talk about Anthony Edwards in the same breath that we talk about Shea and Luca. We have him at 6, so we've got him very close. But I would say that I think that there is currently a decent sized chasm between projections for our like top 5 and our and after that. Like our top five guys are really solid. Our 6 through 10 are like little bit shakier. Or um,
Mm. Um, you had them as 50 wins. You've got them taking a step forward. Aaron had them. I wish he was here to defend some of these ridiculous takes. um, Aaron had them as a 53 win team. As I
I mean,
mentioned,
it's not too
got winning
ridiculous.
40, winning 49 games and then losing their fifth best player and not replacing him with anyone.
I don't think it's too ridiculous when you kind of consider they made their big move last year so close to I think it was even during the start of training camp when they traded away
Yeah.
Carl Anthony
Hmm.
Towns and brought in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, and both those guys looked off for a good stretch of the season. And they did kind of finally find their rhythm midway through the year. Randall had to get hurt and watch from the sidelines for a little bit, and then come back and try to figure out ways to fit in a lot better. Um, Dante Dante still had his ups and downs, but I think if you can get more out of Dante DiVincenzo this year, he can replace a lot of what Nikhil Alexander brought. Maybe more defense or more offense, less defense, but the value could be similar to what that they're losing with the loss of Nikhil Alexander Walker. And I think if we're just saying, hey, Ant's going to take another step up, Julius Randle's going to fit in better this year, and Rudy's going to be 33, but if he doesn't take too much of a step back, like there's no real reason for this team to have gotten significantly worse. And Nikhil
Mm.
Alexander Walker's nice, but like I don't
I'll
know. Are we going to say that Nikhil Alexander Walker is worth 5 wins either way? Like,
I'll make the argument as to why they could be a lot worse.
okay,
Mike Conley, another year older, he could just be done. Like that
sure.
happens to old players. You can fall off at any point. Gobert, as you said, getting into his 30s, if he takes, he carries quite a lot of load defensively for this team, where they were the sixth best defense in the league last year. If he takes a step
Hmm.
back and then they're closer to 10, that hurts you. And then like Naz Reid is really good. I was looking at the lineups, trying to figure out like maybe like is DiVincenzo just with the starters um, over Conley? Like, is that a really good lineup, or is playing? Did they ever go to like a jumbo lineup where we're seeing the league trend bigger? Like, did they ever play like Naz Reid instead of Conley with the starters? Um, which they didn't, in case you're wondering. But
Oh,
what I
that'd be
found is
fun.
that, yeah, yeah, I think Julius Randle's the guy that brings that down. Is his inability to really stretch the floor,
I mean, at that point,
as
it's
the
point
supposed
Randall.
three. Yeah, 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 it could be. But like the best lineup was just the starters, but with Naz Reid in exchange for Julius Randle. So like Naz Reid is good. I have faith in Naz Reid. I could see a world where they don't have a single other bench player who contributes, and so if we're now going, we don't have a very good start. Well, DiVincenzo, I guess, is the other guy who could maybe do that. But if we're saying Mike Conley potential to be giving them almost nothing, which means
Hmm.
DiVincenzo has to effectively be the starter, then we've
Hmm.
got Naz Reid off the bench and Dillingham, Terrence Shannon, Leonard Miller. Um, there are other guys that you could maybe
Yeah.
make a case for in the rotation. I think there's a world in which none of those guys give you anything. I'm not
They
predicting it. I wouldn't expect it, but like if we're talking low side, that it's a possibility.
they did play a very serious like 8-man rotation last year. Like normally there's a little bit more staggering. You get some blending for guys 9 and 10 situational matchups. Uh, Jalen Clark got the got those extra minutes, and it does not factor to be part of the rotation much. I think the case is going to really rely on Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon being able to be better this year. And Dillingham had some decent offseason play. Um, Kind of crazy to think that or maybe not we, but the collective NBA blogosphere was upset at the Spurs for trading away Dillingham because there's like, oh, you compare him with Wemby and have this 1-2 or not 1-2, but like, he can he could help or be the point guard for Wimby's future. And it's like, well, now they have a plethora of point guards, and Dillingham, you know, has still not quite shown what he is yet. But sophomore year, chance to take a step forward. If him and Terrence Shannon can help fill some of the void, one of them is going to need to, because you're going to need to be play at least 8 guys during the course of the regular season. And if Conley steps back, which I think is likely, maybe dropping back from 24 minutes a night to maybe being the like honorary starter where he starts but then only gets like 18, could be pretty for Conley.
Yeah, and like I laid out the worst case scenario, which is a possibility, but I think the more likely scenario is that at least one, maybe even more likely two of those bench guys are going to be able to give them something between Terrence Shannon or maybe Leonard Miller is, like a can give you like a good Jared Vanderbilt impression. Or DiVincenzo takes another step forward. And so I think that like between Dillingham, Terrence Shannon, Leonard Miller, um, who am I forgetting is another guy that they.
So the rest of their bench currently includes it's Jean Beringer, the French rookie.
Yeah.
Figures to be more of like a Gobert replacement in a couple of years. An incredibly old Joe Ingles,
Hmm.
Bones Highland, Jalen
Yep.
Clark is
So
still on the
three
roster.
knows. Yeah, Jalen Clark. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but then Zhai Zhuzang, who had several good moments in the preseason, he's on a two-way, but maybe he can contribute. Your old friend Bones Highland. You're right. There's not a lot of guys that you are
yeah.
expecting to
But
kind of
I mean,
pop.
if you had to say what's between Dillingham, Terrence Shannon, Leonard Miller, Jalen Clark, um, could you get two players out of there that can play in an 8-man rotation? I think the odds are probably more, above 50%. And so I
Yeah,
think that they probably do have enough. Combine that with the defense is still going to be good. They've got Randall who can do some stuff. Anthony Edwards is, probably going to be an MVP candidate this year. And I think they've got enough to. Oh, we got them as the 3 seed to get to that kind of level again.
there is also another man from near your part of the world, Rocco Zakaski.
Big
There,
Rocco.
yeah. I want to say he measured at the combine at like 7'4". Like they only listed him at 7'2", but one of the rare, maybe not rare, but one of the like height liars on the downside. Um, I don't know. I'm looking forward to whatever game he gets NBA minutes. I feel like I'm probably not going to watch a ton of Minnesota this year. Like I will hit my 15 into 20 games for every playoff team as I always do, but like I will make special appointment viewing whenever Rocco is going to get some NBA time.
Whenever he's called up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I watch most of my games the next day on the bike or the treadmill. Well,
Mm,
so like I'll see that he got 7 minutes and be like,
yeah,
this
yeah. And
game,
then, and then you go and
we'll
check it
fire
out.
it up. Yeah,
You can go watch Australian Boban do his thing.
yes. All right, on to our final two pack. What I'm calling the contenders, the true. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's the best of the West. It's these are the teams that will represent the Western Conference in the finals, most likely. Denver, and I like how you've got this laid out. Denver, a lot of changes. Getting rid of MPJ, Russell Westbrook, Dario Saric. Ironically, Saric and Westbrook teammates again in Sacramento. Worked out so well for them. Bringing back Bruce Brown, adding Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Jonas Valanciunas. My 58 wins reflects my true position on this. This is the best Denver Nuggets team that Jokic has played on, just from a roster construction standpoint. The second best preseason roster construction standpoint, I'd say, was when they won the title. This team has depth. It has multiple guys that can help, and it
Mm.
still has a lot of the young guys that could step up or pop, Strother, Peyton Watson. Like, I'm very excited for what these Nuggets are gonna do.
Yeah,
Why are you
and
so
it's
low?
it's. I think that they will not necessarily push as hard. Like Nikola Jokic played a lot of games and a lot of minutes last year. Obviously like 37 minutes a game. And I don't think that they will want um to push that. And I don't think necessarily that they maybe will need to in order to secure a top four seed. Well, maybe they would really push to get the second seed, but I think that they would be perhaps wiser not to. And so I think a little bit less minutes from Jokic um, means that their overall roster improvements are maybe not won't be seen quite as much. Like Cam Johnson over Porter Jr. is, I would argue, a pretty lateral move. Um, Jamal Murray supposedly is looking in shape, which never happens at the start of the season, so maybe that's a good sign. Um,
Christian
but
Brown with the recent extension. Good day for extensions. It's
mm,
good bit of business that happened
yeah,
today.
I mean he's not making Keegan Murray money, but he got a bag at least. But a thing that I really like about this team, which is not an original point, but they've got like their bench is kind of like the Timu version of their starters, where they can have Bruce Brown to do a
Mm-hmm.
Christian Brown impression. Tim Hardaway Jr. can do a Ken Johnson impression. Peyton Watson can roll to the rim, defend, and hit an occasional spot up three the way Aaron Gordon can. And Jonas Valanciunas is a guy that you can give the ball to run some offense out of, and who will get on the glass and give you something there. And so I think that the roster construction is really quite nice as well.
And another team that has experimented with some two big lineups, which I kind of wonder if the two big lineups are going to be are going to be a little bit special, especially deployed this year against OKC and against the San Antonio Spurs, both teams with the ability to go too big, but one of those bigs is going to be pretty skinny, and I don't think it's the worst idea to try to say, hey, we're going to try to beat up Chet Holmgren in the post. You know, if he's going to be guarding Valanciunas, we're going to try to post up Valanciunas against him. Not a ton. Chet's got amazing length and contests well, so it's probably not going to be highly efficient basketball. But just to make him work and try to not, I don't want to say injure the man, but like, yeah, you want to make him have a rough night. You want to make him exhausted on that end, and then when you've got other cutters and guys running him, be a little bit more wary.
Yeah, I think as we jump back and forth
Weary.
between the Nuggets and the Thunder, who we predicted as our number one seed with an average of 67 wins. I think that because their roster construction is so great, you don't even need to put Chet on that other guy. Like if you do go to two bigs, you're never gonna get a stop. Like if you play Valanciunas and Jokic together, forget about it. Like you're not getting a single stop. And then if the argument is that you can beat up on Holmgren, well, maybe I'll just put Lou Dort on, or Caruso, or Jalen Williams on one of these guys, and Holmgren can defend Christian Brown and still bring out defense. Like you've got enough versatility from that roster, um, who we've got with six top 100 players. Probably should have been seven, I think, with maybe Case and Wallace still being a little underrated. Um, like you've got so many ways that they can succeed.
J Dub is not going to start the season. He's
Mm.
still dealing with his hand injury from the finals. Um, I don't know exactly how they're going to fill his starting spot, but I would expect Kason to get more run during
Hmm.
his absence. And I think we could look a little silly for not having Kason in the top 100 sooner rather than later. Just giving him minutes increase. I was shocked to see that both you and Aaron had them winning fewer games. This team is young. They're hungry. Chet is starting the year healthy. Um, they had not the worst injury luck. A lot of their guys still played a ton of games, but your third best player, someone who should be in All-Star considerations, missed significant time and from your team. The Arguably one of the most important defensive pieces, just being that shot protect or the rim protecting center, the long length there. Also, Hartenstein missed time, and they missed overlapping time. There was 10 games of overlap time that they missed. Like, you got some more health between those guys, and potentially health from Nikola Topic. Like, there are no key players in other than the rookie who's already going to miss the entire year. But um, I don't know, like another year of continuity, a young team that like lives, sleeps, and breathes basketball. Like I know there's the whole like disease of more and disease of me or whatever the Rileyism is of like once you win, guys stop caring as much. But like these guys didn't like the champagne at their championship thing because it was yucky. They're so fucking young and just want to play basketball. Like, I could see almost any other team just winning and then being like, "Cool, we won. We're gonna ease off the brakes." These guys, they don't have other things in their lives. Like I don't. I mean, maybe they have family and girlfriends. I don't know what else they have in their lives, but like this basketball seems to be the main thing that they all care about in ways that is just insane. So no significant losses, young team all getting better, and potentially a healthier season than what they had last year. Like, if I was Vegas, I would put the over under at 69.5 and just say, hey, bet on them not making history. Like, because that's just how I feel about this team.
Hmm.
They're so
So
young.
the reason I have them taking a slight step back is a couple things. Firstly, I think when you're the champion, that means the entire league is studying you in the off season. Not only are they getting better at dealing with you, but also you've they're circling you on the calendar. Every team is going to get up against them, and every team is going to know how to deal with them better.
They can try.
Um, yeah. And then secondly, I think Shea and also the team overall don't have as much to prove this year, and so maybe Shea doesn't need to play as much. Maybe he can rest a little bit more, particularly because I think that they're still going to run away with the conference. Like we've got them, what 11 wins over the 2 seed, so like they're not going to have to push down the stretch. They're going to run away with the number 1 seed, and so I think maybe Shea can not have to play as much because he doesn't need to. He doesn't have as much to prove. He doesn't need to get that MVP again. Um, the counter arguments to that, like you say, is um, every team can circle them on the calendar and still get blown out by 20 because they're that freaking good. And then also, maybe Shea plays a little bit less, and it doesn't even matter because then Case and Wallace just plays and they play more through Jalen Williams and Chet and Hardenstein, and like they still just blow out every team anyway. And so like there is that perspective. Like there is the world in which they're just even better and they just win 70. I think that they won't need to do that though.
Dylan, I'm gonna read you a list of players, and I want you to tell me what these players have in common. Josh Hart, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Nikola Jokic, OG Anunoby, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, De'Aaron Fox, Jamal Murray, Damian Lillard, Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan, Jalen Brunson, Tyler Hero, James Harden, Fred Van Vliet, Zach LaVine, Cade Cunningham, Karl Anthony Towns, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Domantas Sabonis, Kelly Oubre Jr., Keegan Murray, Bam Adebayo, Jaylen Brown. Any guess what
No
the
idea.
that list has in common?
No idea.
Those are players who averaged more minutes per game than Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. It's not like he played a ton of minutes last year. Or, I mean, he played this basically the same amount of minutes as Christian Brown and Derek White. Like, you say that he might have to, they might not need to play him as much. They might not need to like have him exert himself as much. Cool, he didn't already. And I pulled up some of their games played just to look at some of their injuries. Because like they were a relatively healthy team. Shea played 76 games. J Dub played 69. Lou Dort 71. But Hardenstein only 57. Chet 32. Caruso 54. You know, those guys
Yeah, and that's the other way that
give
this
more.
could go over is just like Hardenstein and especially Chet play more. And Chet's probably got another level that he can go to as well. He's probably going to improve this year.
Sure.
But like Hardenstein plays more, Chet plays more, Caruso plays more, and they just like are even, they just hit another level of in term of beating the brakes off of everyone.
Yeah. And
Um,
J Dub will be 24. Lou Dort will be 26. Kason Wallace 22. Chet 23. Like, tell me who's not gotten better.
yeah. I, I just want to say that I had Casey Wallace in the 80s, and that I was let down by my co-hosts. I will give all respect to the Oklahoma City Thunder, our gods and champions, um, and I think that he's probably got another um, step that he can maybe take in terms of um, doing more on the ball and getting downhill more, where he's really good at getting to the rim.
I will say the one thing that I think could maybe not even derail them, but could maybe cause a little bit of strife is they did really pay Chet, J Dub, and Shea to the point where if you're Hartenstein or Lou Dort or what is I guess Caruso's locked up for another number of years. Some of the other guys, you might be looking like this is I need to really show out. I need to really perform because just cap wise, I'm probably not sticking around here very often. So I am kind of performing for my next team. Aaron Wiggins got locked up for a couple more years, but Kason Wallace, his you know he's got his contract this year, next year, and team option the following. But like that's about as far as I can get. Aside from a massive injury to Shea that takes him out for half the season, this team is going to hit 60 with ease, these wins wise. The question is just will they be historic and crack 70? And I think yes.
Nice. So your official prediction is that they join the 70 win club.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even feel like I had to think too hard about that one. And like I gave Aaron a ton of crap last year for 68. I was just like, no one projects 68. No one does this. And then they did 68. And I was just like, damn, that was right. And I don't see a reason for them to be any worse this year. And I see a lot of reasons for them to be better. Have you? I know you haven't been watching preseason, but are you aware of their two-way contract guy, Chris Youngblood?
Chris Youngblood. No, I'm not.
Chris Youngblood is a flamethrower from the three-point line. Just a catch and
He's
shoot
the next Isaiah
maniac.
Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, like just lit it up. They keep finding these guys. Their scouting department deserves every penny it's ever made. Um, it's just a good team. It's just a good team. It's a well built team. It's a team with every asset in the world to try to go out and make more moves. Um,
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like that's a way that this team could be even better. Is like they do have assets. They could improve. Like you remember the Gordon Hayward trade a couple years ago, where they were
hmm
like, okay, we need like one more guy on the wing who can like hold up defensively, can shoot from the perimeter and ball handle a little bit. Like they've got assets. They could just go and get that guy, but like do it right, and they could be like even more unstoppable.
hmm hmm Like I mean, I don't know if there's a way to piece together enough salaries without giving up one of the big three. But let's just say Giannis wanted to shake loose. Yeah, everything fell apart. They have enough picks and the ability to include recent lottery. I mean, you could include Wallace, this Topic, Thomas Sorber, and more picks than almost anyone else could put into this. And like make a run that would have to be considered without giving up uh, one of their starters. Basically, I mean, you probably have to go with Hartenstein to get contracts to work, but like it's insane the level of asset management that they still have and could put forward. The Thomas Sorber pick is a complete Presty flex. Like I did my rookie analysis. And I basically said like, hey, if I'm a GM, I'm not touching Sorber with a 10-foot pole.
Hmm.
And then he got drafted to the Thunder, and a Thunder fan jumped on there like, oh, how's it feel to have the smartest GM in the league disagree with you? And I was like, no, no, that's the safest GM in the league because Sorber was going to
Yeah.
miss the entire year
Yeah.
with lower body injuries. I forget if it's an ACL or if it's knee or foot or what he's got, but like extreme talent that could pay off or could not ever play in the NBA because of injuries, isn't health related. Like Presti's just out here flexing on people, being
Yeah.
like, I have such a
And
good team, I can take this gamble. You other
and
lottery teams can't dream of this.
and he did it last year too, right? Like he drafted Dylan Jones, he
Mm-hmm.
did nothing, and then he just like dumped him after 1 year. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the there are other GMs that would lose their job for making that pick and would like
Yeah.
have to like keep him around on the hopes that he will somehow like pull through and save them. But
Yeah.
he doesn't need to. He can keep taking these swings and like maybe get someone. So with like
And
Topic
if
is looking like he's maybe not going to give you much, but like there's some a little bit of upside, a $5 million salary. Like
yeah.
you could do Isaiah Joe and Nikola Topic at a first round pick and take back $20 million. Like there's even more roster building moves that are available to this team.
Yeah. I mean, he's taken these swings in the past. They have not all hit. I mean, I know we're sitting here looking at a team that he's built off a lot of guys. He's found Shea, Dort, Williams, Chet, but we also have Usman Dieng as a memory here. We have the uh, Alperen Şengün trade where they traded him away for two conditional picks, neither of which conveyed. Şengün would look real good on this roster. We have, of course, Pokuševski, who is one of these guys
Longtime
that's
favorite.
it's a gamble play. It's this guy has a weird body type. If he hits, he could hit big. Um, and like the Thunder have just been able to keep taking those swings because of all the talent they've brought in. It's it's a scary good team, and as a team that is like trying to somewhat build for now, my Lakers trying to build for now, trying to build for the future with Luca. I I don't know how you build to beat these guys in 3 years because they're going to be really good for the
Mm,
next 5 years ish.
yeah. Um, Looking at these two teams that we've got up now, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of percentage, what percentage would you say that one of those two teams wins the NBA Finals?
80%. I would take the two of them over the field with ease. Um, I maybe 80% is a little high just because of how many teams and we have to give paltry percentages this to them each, but probably like 40% to the Thunder alone, maybe the 25-30% into the Nuggets. Um, yeah, the Rockets I felt a lot better when they had Fred Van Vliet. I'm not giving them too high of a chance. Minnesota, I actually think Minnesota, if they could figure out some of their depth, if they could add some guys mid-season or really get leaps, like they could compete. But you're right, they just have massive holes in depth. Um, they're the biggest competition for these guys will probably be the two Eastern Conference teams, the Knicks and the Cavs. And I meant to say this back when we were talking about Denver. I think the Cavs will push the Nuggets to try to win more. because I don't think Denver wants any chance of slipping into the 4 seed in the West, and I think they'd like to have home court
Hmm.
against every team they
Yeah.
could. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so maybe they can't get it against the Thunder. The Thunder got to run away with this thing, but they should be able to at least compete
And
for the
maybe they're
Cavs.
chasing Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know what percentage would you give the Thunder or give these two teams?
I don't know, I was thinking like 60%, which is
Yeah,
crazy. They're like,
it feels right. It feels right. I feel like a lot of the other teams are a trade away. I mean, the Lakers need to add probably
an
two
entire
pieces.
bench.
Yeah, yeah. They need to add the right kind of depth. Minnesota needs to add the right kind of depth. I think
And they have no
Houston.
assets.
Yeah, yeah. I think Houston needs one more high level on ball creator. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, we can just. Yeah, we got it all pulled up here. The Clippers are old as shit, and I don't think they're making it to June.
Yeah,
Sorry.
they're relying on James Harden, so that's already a tough ask for a playoff team.
Yeah, James Harden, Brad Beal, Kawhi's health. That's enough risks. Ironically, I think Golden State might have one of the best chances as like the dark horse, even though I don't respect them as much in the regular season. Playoff wise, Curry is a very tough guard. Jimmy Butler rises in the playoffs. Draymond can put forth more effort, and Al getting consistent rest. Um, like they may have the third best odds of winning this thing in the West, but they're also currently in our projections slotted to meet OKC in round one, which I don't think is what
Yeah,
you wanna see.
and
So
they've got to what they've got to beat the go back a slide. Who's the other?
got to beat either
They've got to
Dallas or Memphis.
yeah, they've got to beat Dallas and then play OKC in the first round. Like that's pretty brutal.
Hey, hey, to be fair, they could play the Spurs in this play-in hypothetical play-in matchup, and then get to play the Nuggets instead.
True, true, true.
Not that that makes life that much easier.
Yeah, I was going to say they actually match up kind of interestingly against OKC, whereas I think they match up worse against Denver.
But you know what I found really fun about all of our projections?
Hmm.
We finally projected the LA Clipper or the LA Lakers as the three or as the 6 seed. Oh no, we didn't even do it. Fuck, because of some of our switchings.
We still don't get Battle of LA.
We still don't get Battle of LA. We put them in the 6 and the 4, so they wouldn't see each other at Western Conference Finals.
Well, if you would just do the right thing and predict the Clippers for 50 wins, we could have had the LA 3-6.
Can't do it. I don't believe in them. I have no faith.
Fair, fair, fair.
All right. Well, Dylan, any final thoughts before we get real basketball and we can prove all of our projections to be miraculously right or horribly wrong?
Oh, I'm excited. I think it's the perfect rankings. We've nailed it.
Absolutely. All right, Dylan, where can the people find you?
Every week on the Hoops Temple podcast.
Find me here on the Hoops Temple podcast. Find me on TikTok, Nate_Hoops Temple. You can email the show, hoopstemple@gmail.com. We do love getting those emails, and I will try to make them priority. So top of the episode if you email in. Love to hear from you guys. Thanks for listening.